Hello, my little inklings. Welcome back to my channel. It is Ellie, and in today's video, I am going to be teaching you how to write a book. So, before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that there are a few things that you might want to consider before you even think about writing a book. The first thing that you need to consider is, do you have the energy to write a book? It takes up so much of your energy, way more than you would think. You have to do so many steps to write a book. It takes years sometimes, and some people just aren't really mentally capable of doing that, and that is totally fine. Some people get burnt out. That is totally fine. I've been there. So that is just one thing to consider. Another thing to consider is, are you an open-minded person? You have to be open to trying new methods, expanding your skills, learning, being open to criticism. There is so much that goes into this that you might not think about. So, all right, let's jump into this. The first step to writing a book is establishing a consistent and safe space for you to write in. So for me, that is my bedroom. I love writing in my bedroom because it's beach themed and my books take place on the beach. So it feels like I'm with them. Like it feels like I'm with my characters sometimes. I also love writing in coffee shops because I genuinely enjoy a little bit of like small background noise, and it helps me be very productive. The next step is knowing your story. I'm not saying you have to plan out everything to a T. That's not what I'm saying. Just understand the idea of what you're trying to tell. Maybe that could look like inspiration from another book, but you want to make it a little different, or knowing that you for sure want to write about a certain character. Just knowing what you are trying to do and trying your best to explain the story is what really matters. Like if you can explain to somebody what you're trying to write about, then there you go. You know what you're basing your story off of, and that's great. If you can't even explain to somebody what you are writing about, then how can you expect your readers to understand your story? That's one thing to think about. The next step is the brain dump. I love the brain dump. It is my most favorite part of writing a story. It's literally just a hodgepodge of whatever you want it to be, as long as you are just dumping any thoughts that you have that relates to your story out there. So it could be characters, their traits, backstories, the setting, literally anything. A random fact that you know you're going to include later in the novel, or literally anything. It's just a guideline. The next part is very difficult. It is the outline. Write whatever you can. Write whatever you can. I know there are a lot of people out there who say, you need to have an outline before you start writing your story and know exactly what's going to happen. You don't need that. I actually don't do an outline sometimes. I kind of just start writing, and then once I am in the fictional world that I'm creating, then that's when ideas start coming to me and I know what I'm doing, and then I make an outline as I am going. So sometimes it's really hard to plan ahead because you're not really in the proper mindset of your characters and the world that you're building until you're actually submerged in it yourself. One thing that I like to think about when making outlines is something that I like to call situation, cause, and effect. I am probably going to be really bad at explaining what that means. You basically have a situation, and then you have a cause that could be like a little action or something, and that creates an effect. So, for example, my Dr. Pepper. My situation is that I'm thirsty and I'm craving a Dr. Pepper. So then my cause is I am going to grab the Dr. Pepper because I'm thirsty and I want to drink it. But the effect is the Dr. Pepper is too cold, so I put it back down, and now I have to warm up my hand because it's freezing, and that leads to another situation, cause and effect. I really hope that makes sense. That is just something I like to think about because it helps get from one plot point to the next. The next step, do your research. Even if you are already very familiar with the setting or the characters or whoever or whatever, do your research, please. It makes everything so much easier. Google is free. Also, research doesn't have to be through Google. For example, some of my characters are based on my close friends, and sometimes they don't even know that I'm doing this, but sometimes I ask them questions on purpose because I'm trying to get a reaction out of them. So one time I asked a question that is in my book as if we were having that same conversation. They didn't even know that I was doing that, and they answered the question that I had, and I took note of their posture, what they were doing with their hands, where they were looking, their tone of voice, just little things like that. That is also research. Also, to add on to that, taking little notes like that of their posture, their attitude, what they do, where they're looking, those are all very important because it kind of indicates to the reader how the characters are feeling. So typically, if a person if they have their arms folded like this, and they're kind of looking at the ground, it could mean several things. It can mean that character is nervous, they have anxiety, or they're suspicious of something. You know, it really does play into the plot a lot. So I highly recommend doing your research. Another step that I would recommend, I don't always follow this step myself, create a writing routine. Even if it's just setting 15 minutes aside every day, that goes a long way. 15 minutes a day is better than nothing. The next step, finish your first draft. Do not go back and edit your first draft. If you do that, you are going to hate on yourself. You are going to think you are the worst author ever and want to fix every little detail. No. The first draft is just you throwing your ideas onto the page, getting the story done. That's it. That is all the first draft is there for. The second draft is clarity for the author. So that's when you want to just clarify your ideas, go back, make those edits. The third draft and onward is clarity for the reader. That is when you want to start reading your own book as if you are a reader reading it for the first time. Do you understand what's going on? Is the foreshadowing done correctly? Do you understand the characters? Are there grammatical mistakes? Like, just trust me with this. The last step is get beta readers. Once your first draft is done, maybe after your second draft, get other people to read and make edits for you. Having a third eye is super, super helpful for me. I had beta readers for my first book, and it improved my writing tremendously hearing from other people. They helped me come up with ideas. They actually helped me add a lot more characters. They fixed plot holes for me. They made my writing sound more smooth. Like, it was just amazing. I highly recommend it. Alrighty guys, I really hope these steps were useful for you if you're planning on writing a novel. These are just the steps that I follow, and this is just what I would recommend, but everybody's different. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to come back for the next video. Love you guys. Bye.